H.R. 3813 would make substantial changes to the federal employee retirement system, even though that system is fully funded. This legislation is a solution in search of a problem, intended, as far as I can see, only to further reduce the take-home pay of middle-class American workers, employees who are already operating under a pay freeze. Despite its title, H.R. 3813 will make retirees less secure than they are now. H.R. 3813 will create a great uncertainty among employees close to the age of 62 who are considering early retirement. For decades, many of these employees have been relying on the promise of a FERS annuity supplement, which is currently available to those who retire before age 62, before they are eligible for Social Security. But this legislation would eliminate those supplements. The bill would also reduce the take-home pay of millions of middle-class workers. If this legislation becomes law, federal employees will see a 1.5% decrease in their take-home pay as a result of the bill's cuts to the government portion of their retirement payments. The bill would also reduce retirement benefits for new employees who join the civil service by switching from a high 3 to a high 5 and lowering the pension formula multiplier by almost 35%. This legislation would yield an annuity that is worth 40% less than current annuities. Republicans argue that we should adopt this bill because it includes some of the same ideas proposed by President Obama. No, President Obama has called for a shared sacrifice. His call for everyone to do their part to address the nation's deficits. He's called for everyone to step up, including people who make billions of dollars a year and yet are taxed at effective rates that are lower than their secretaries. As a result of the pay freeze already in place, the families of middle-class federal employees have contributed $60 billion to deficit reduction. According to the Congressional Budget Office, H.R. 3813 would require them to sacrifice another $40 billion over the next 10 years. Let me make it crystal clear. If this legislation is passed, middle-class federal workers will take a $100 billion hit at a time when millionaires and billionaires have not been asked to contribute one single additional penny towards reducing the nation's debt. How is this shared sacrifice? It isn't. This is sticking it to millions of middle-class American families who are struggling to make ends meet. The legislation continues a disturbing assault on our federal employees, an assault spearheaded by this committee, which has previously marked up legislation that would dramatically and indiscriminately reduce the size of the federal workforce, extend the probationary period for new hires, limit the use of official time, and reduce benefits for workers who are injured on the job. We constantly hear rhetoric from the other side that federal employees are valuable and their service is so honored, but the actions of the majority make one wonder how much they really believe that. These employees protect our borders, safeguard our food supply, care for our own wounded veterans, and support our war fighters. And this is how they are treated. I strongly oppose this legislation, and I urge all of my colleagues to do the same. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.